made in countries elsewhere as in the Western world, and then they're like made for actually a more international audience, which this might be or might not be the case for this film. Like, I'm interested, how is it perceived in the country of its origin, so to say? How was it perceived? Did you screen it there?
We screened it there. We had actually the Arab premiere was in Jerusalem. We organized the Arab premiere there. We screened for 1 week in Jerusalem in a small cinema that's been renovated, an old cinema that had been shut down. And there's an organization there that's reopened the cinema. So we had it there for a week, and it was a full house every day. And I mean, it's not a huge, it's not like this theater, it's a small theater, but it was a full house, and it was very good. I was there. The woman who plays the mother and Saleh Bakri who plays the fighter. They were there for that. The boy, of course, Tarek can't be there. He's not allowed to enter Palestine, so he wasn't there, which was a shame because people really wanted to meet him. But I think the direction was good. Was happy.
Are there more questions? We can't really see. There's one in the first row.
I have a question. Also, congratulations. It's a great film. But I had a question that maybe this isn't how you work, and so if so, you can just say you're completely off and move on. But about intertextuality, because I was watching the film, there was, like, for instance, when the fighters are shouting across to someone, exchanging insults. I remember this from Prisoner of Love. And then at the final scene, towards the end of the film, I was thinking about 400 Blows, and somehow it really was beginning to remind me, the film was reminding me of, in some ways, of 400 Blows, and then the way you end it was really reminiscent somehow. And I wondered about this intertextuality possibility, and if there were other interesting, maybe, references that you could share.
Nice. There's a lot of references. I mean, the 400 Blows, the film, I of course love, but it was not a direct reference. But the Jean Genet book was definitely, there was a lot. I mean, there was a reference to that, and in that calling back and forth, and that sort of relationship that the men have with each other. And I would, all the other references, the filmmaking of the time, the way that they filmed themselves, those filmmakers, and I wanted to have something of that in there, in terms of the camera language. And then the end, I mean, it's, this freeze frame is, that's a very of its period thing, and for me it was always the way to end the film. It's a little bit old-fashioned, but it's, in a way, it's also like, for me, it's sort of an homage to the period, doing something new, but also just to remain in it. So yeah, there's a lot of references. I'm glad you saw the Jean Genet one. You're the first.
Is there another question? Oh yeah. So I would like to ask you. Oh, you have a question? Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't notice that.
I was just taking advantage of the first row. Annemarie, when you thought of the film, did you have like a key image that you started to work on, rather than a narrative idea, but like a visual image? Because what I loved was really the shot when the mother sees the panorama laying out and then the circle around her. It was so tender and such a strong moment. And immediately I thought maybe that was a key image that you had in mind, that this would be something that plays an important role in the film.
Yeah, that's definitely the moment the mother sees Palestine, and she sees also, I mean, Tarek has that moment earlier in the film as well, and I think that's something in the very, very early part of the process of the film that was an image for me. I mean, I was able always to go to Palestine, and then I was not allowed to go anymore after 2008. I was denied entry, and since then I've been living in Jordan for the past 4 years. And so it was, when I first was denied entry, I was actually in Europe. I was editing a film in France, and it was a very difficult reality to face. But a lot of what the film comes from, the visual, sort of emotional story of the film, is when I came back, I moved to Jordan because that was as close as I could get to Palestine. And that was the reason for moving to Jordan. But something about actually really seeing Palestine from Jordan, I mean, seeing and recognizing the landscape and seeing and not being able to go there anymore, which is the position of most Palestinians. But now I had found myself for the first time in that position. It was more difficult than when I had first been denied entry and I was in Europe. For some reason, the closer I was to the place I couldn't get to was more difficult. And so I think that moment with the mothers is very much, yeah, maybe it's, I don't want to say it's the moment of, you know, image, but it's a key moment for me for the film.
There are some more people in the first row. Some more questions from you? In the second, yeah. It's the last question, actually.
Annemarie, thank you very much for your movie, Mabruk. I wanted to ask a question about, so this is a movie about 67, and yet the history, the narration of Palestinians being expelled and not being able to return starts in 48, and yet 48 is somehow absent in your movie. So how does the absence of 48 fit into your 67 movie?
I think 48 is the common factor for the whole Palestinian narrative. It's really the year that we lost Palestine, that we became refugees. 67 was the second wave. I don't think it's absent. For me, it's not absent from the film. Those young people, some of them are from 67, some of them are refugees for the second time. Some of them from refugees from 48. For me, it's there, but it's not a documentary, so I can't explain everything. And the film is not that kind of, it's more of an emotional story. But 48 for me is very present because it's present in the whole Palestinian story, 1948. So I don't know if that answers it, but it's, for me, it's very, very present. My first film, Salt of the Sea, was specifically more about 1948, but you know, I wanted to do something different.
I'm afraid we have to leave this screening room because the next screening is approaching. Thank you very much for this wonderful